We're here at Gay-expo, filled with life and happiness. I'm talking to a gentleman that sort of helps us deal with when life and happiness ends. What's your name?
My name is Bill Curran. I'm the owner of McKeon Funeral Home.
And what would cause you to set up at a LGBT gay expo in Javits Center?
Probably because I'm gay. It's very, very important, I think, for the gay community to understand that there are certain rights that they have under the law. Domestic partnership is one of them. For those people who do not have a domestic partnership agreement, there are, as far as funeral services are concerned, there's an agent form that can be filled out. And I think it's very, very important that people that are in these relationships, especially long-term relationships, have these things set in place so that they can take care of the arrangements of their loved one.
I know, but sometimes if you're not a domestic partner, maybe things have changed. But when my lover of 18 years died, for me to have him cremated, I had to have his sister, who lived in Ohio, to sign the permission, because you can't, even though we had a wedding, in those days you didn't have domestic partnerships. I had to have permission, so you get into very difficult situations in cases like that, right?
Absolutely. But now, since August of 2006, the New York State has created this agent form, which actually now supersedes all relatives. So if I were to be your agent, okay, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, all would be superseded by me. I would be the only one that can make decisions about your funeral.
And you wouldn't even have to be
you wouldn't have to be a domestic partner, no.
Oh, wow. What an advance that is, because how about, though, it's only regarding your funeral, though, right?
It's only regarding your funeral arrangements, correct.
I know this may be a strange story, but I knew somebody who was very active in the Gay Atheist Alliance of America, and his lover died, and because they had very religious family, they actually laid him out in a coffin holding a Bible. And I didn't understand why, as an atheist, he was so upset, but this person was tormented by the fact that his lover, he felt, had been used as a prop, supporting something which the two of them both were very passionately against.
Well, these are definitely things that don't have to keep on happening, and that is why we're here now to promote to the gay community that there are ways to prevent these things from happening. That's why they need to pre-arrange, especially with someone that is gay-owned and operated, like ourselves in McKeon Funeral Home. We'll make sure that the proper paperwork is filled out so that they cannot be superseded by those people who are not looking for their best interest.
And where are you located?
We are located at Perry Avenue, which is 3129 Perry Avenue in the Bronx. Our telephone number is 718-655-6464. Even if someone doesn't want to have their services at our facility in the Bronx, let's just say they're from Queens or Brooklyn or Manhattan, we can actually rent a facility in another location, yet still handle their services. So in fact, their services will actually be handled by a gay-owned and operated individual, but it will be just at a different location.
And how many, have you had seen any differences or had any unique experiences getting involved with funerals for gay people?
I've actually had a few gay funerals. One funeral in particular I can remember. It was a burial over in Kew Gardens, Queens. The couple were together. They were gentlemen. They were together for 15 years. And this is one of the reasons why I'm here today, because their family actually had me do two services for the individual. One for the gays and one for the family. And I thought that was despicable. For someone that's been together for 15 years with another person, that their family, whether they agree with it, like it, or not, can stand on the graveside for 10 minutes. These are things that shouldn't be happening, and these are things that we can now avoid.
But actually, before this bill went into effect, probably there would have been no gay service. It would have been run by the family, right?
Yes, I guess the family was kind of generous in this situation. They could have had no gay service. They could have just had their service and excluded the boyfriend. They were kind enough, I guess, to include him in his own separate service. But as far as I'm concerned, I still think that was kind of still a slap.
Do you have any special requests, like perhaps people that are very much into leather wanting to be laid out in their leather jackets or anything like that?
I have had people. I had a gentleman actually come up to me just a short while ago who was a veteran, and his request was that when the flag is folded at the Veterans Cemetery, that there be a gay flag underneath, and that I guess either gay dancers or whatnot would come forward and then fold the gay flag.
Wow, I wonder how the Army, as I understand it, because a friend of mine, his father was military.
It's going to be interesting.
I mean, I have the Army would probably be very twisted if you. I mean, I wonder how they would react. They couldn't refuse a veteran.
I wouldn't think so. They certainly can't refuse him, so long as his paperwork is in order. And that's what we're here to make sure that his paperwork would be in order. And I'm all for it. I'll do it. He also would like a little glitter. Instead, he's actually Jewish. So at the end of his service, as opposed to throwing dirt on the casket, he wants everyone to throw in glitter.
Wow, now that is what I call. I never wanted a funeral until I actually saw the funeral on C-SPAN of, oh my God, why is the name escaping me? The first black major guy, he died about a year ago, that tore down all the barriers. I never knew he was black. He was one of those men, he just looked ethnic, And they had jazz musicians dancing down the aisle. President Clinton came up and said, this is the first time I've been up here and not afraid of him asking me a hard question. Bill Cosby got up and said, speak up, will you? I mean, and it was a fun, at the end, they all waved white hankies and danced out of the hall, led by a jazz band singing When All the Saints Go Marching In, or something like that. And I said, my God, that was a party. And all funerals don't have to be so depressing.
Absolutely not. Some of them, we really should be celebrating life. And I think that's what we can really start focusing on, is celebrating that life and really what life was lived and the accomplishments of that individual. I think that's really what we should be focusing on.
Now I know you're a funeral director. Now, a lot of people today choose to be cremated. I know that probably eliminates the view. Does that eliminate viewing? I mean, how does cremation and burial work together in your business?
Everybody really views it a little differently. Just because someone is going to be cremated doesn't necessarily mean they have to forego a viewing. I think a viewing is very, very important as far as the bereavement of individuals, being able to say their last goodbyes.
I agree. Sylvia Rivera, a friend of mine, she had a viewing but then was cremated.
Right. Most people, in today's day and age, are leaning towards direct cremation with no viewing, and I think they're going to miss something. And usually they don't realize what they've missed for many years, but they miss that grieving process. They don't go through that grieving process. So I think a viewing is very, very important. However, we of course will work for the individual. If they want a direct cremation with no services, we will provide that for them. If they want one with a viewing, they can certainly have that. We have caskets that can either be purchased or rented, whatever their choice may be. We have urns that can be purchased as well, and biodegradable urns as well, if the person is more earth-friendly. And then as far as their ashes in the end, either they're going to be scattered or they can be interred in a cemetery. It's completely up to the individual. Cremation really affords us a lot more options.
Well, you get involved with organizing memorial services for the deceased? I mean, besides the viewing, I've always been amazed. Every memorial service I went to, even for good friends, I discovered things about them, people I'd known for 30 years that I never knew before. Someone got up and talked about something that had happened that I had no idea about.
Yeah, we'll certainly arrange any services the family requests, including memorial services. We're actually a full-service funeral home. We'll take care of all the funeral arrangements, filing of the death certificate, veterans benefits. We'll file for benefits under the Veterans Administration, insurance benefits as well through life insurance. We'll also take care of monuments, inscriptions, floral arrangements, flights for the individual.
Is this only for New York City or New York State, or do you do it across state? I mean, and is this directive only valid in New York State for people that are residents in New York State?
Well, we'll handle any arrangements really within, I would say, to be on the safe side, say a 50-mile radius of our funeral home. We can certainly, I have handled services, let's just say in upstate New York by Lake George for closer friends of the family. But generally, it's much too difficult to travel that kind of a distance to handle funeral arrangements. So generally, we like to keep it within a 50-mile radius of the funeral home.
And this form that you can get to, what's the form called again?
An agent form.
An agent form. Is that something that, I'm not trying to do you out any business here, but is that something that maybe people could download on the internet somewhere and print out so they would have access to it?
If it is available, and I'm not 100% sure, it would probably be available through the New York State pre-plan system, which is where people's money is kept. If someone were to pre-arrange with us, their money would be kept in the New York State pre-plan system. That website is www.preplan.org, and if it is available, it should be on their website.
And would that work if a a resident of New Jersey? Could someone else use the form, or only a resident of New York?
Every state has different laws, so you'd have to check with the laws of that locality. So as far as I know, that form is only valid here in New York State.